Hello, it's Kim. Kim Malinowski, if you are new to watching the videos. It is October 22nd, 2023 already. If you are getting this during this week, it's for this week technically. But if you find this later on, it is definitely timeless. I totally believe that you find these at the correct time. I listen to a lot of ones on YouTube as well, a lot of readings, and I find them and I find them and I find that, it's relevant usually. If it's not, if there's ever something that's not relevant or you don't feel like it's yours, you can always just say, no, that's not mine. It's not an issue, okay? That is any reading in person or not in person or, just say, no, I don't take that. And you won't get it because, that shifts sort of like, I think, our timelines almost. If you want to look at it that way. I've been on a remote dig. Um, so my hair is a bit of a mess. I'm back in Laurel. I came back. Well, I've been like commuting 5 hours each day, 5 to 6 hours. So I have not had a lot of sleep. So that was Monday through Thursday. Friday, I was like, oh, zombie. And Saturday, yesterday, um, I was mowing the lawn for the first time in my life. I can't do the pull string, and it bothered me, and I was angry with myself, and I hated myself, and I had this whole existential crisis over a lawnmower, you know? Because like the string goes like almost around my neck, so you pull back, and you can't pull back that far. At least I can't. It's not like a bow, an arrow sort of thing. So I got a push button. So I'm a little nasally. So I might, if I drip, I'll be like, so apologies now. I have two sets. I think I'm gonna end with the Witch's Kitchen set, but we'll see. I tend to change my mind as like I'm called. This is the Twilight Realm of Cherry Pharaoh. I used this a while ago, and it was just for like I think it was like for one card that was a fool. Um, that I felt like we'd gotten. But this is using it a bit more. I pulled 5 cards, so you can say that the idea is each day, but I think it doesn't have to be taken that way, you know? Um, yeah, I still think so. For looking for the first one that we had, it's very up and down reading. I just think it's intriguing that it's up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's take it as you get it, okay? So this is the Five of Swords. Now, they're saying since it's upright, she got it upright, but its arguments defeat misery, unfair attack, excuse me, as my computer like decides to fold in. Unfair attacks gained through misfortune of others, no one's situation, destruction, and shame. Now, that sounds totally, awfully negative, but I think that's more like what's going on internally. I don't think that's necessarily someone is shaming us, it's me specifically. I don't think I think we might be causing our own misery, especially with the other cards that were pulled. I think this is like our perception, not reality. Now we had this card before, but it was inverted. So reversed. It means mourning, pain, sorrow, distress, vengeance. Well, now, like I said, defeat, misery, unfair attacks. Gain through misfortune of others. So I don't think that it's like a necessarily like we are gaining from the misfortune of others in terms of we're manipulating like everything, like, oh, they don't matter. I have a feeling we're doing it to ourselves. We don't matter and putting other people ahead of us. Now, this is Jenny Green Tea, and it says once was a favorite threat used by mothers to keep their children from wandering too near to the banks of the water. Sources, lest they be dragged down into her watery, slime-ridden domain. Jenny was one of the countless deadly water fairies whose primary pleasure lay in taking the life of others, regardless of their status or innocence. And I think that status and oops, I can't even say it. Status and innocence is probably the most resonant. You know, we're pulling ourselves down, and it doesn't matter our status or if we're innocent, right? Like, I'm about to start writing a book about the Salem witch trials, okay? And it's sort of that same sort of thing. You know, they weren't witches, they were victims. And the thing is, somebody else did that, right? They called them witches. But us, I think we're doing it to ourselves, not necessarily like a negative witchy sort of thing, but like, you know, saying we are other, we are bad, we are whatever, insert word, okay? Whatever you feel like is your worst word that you use about yourself. I think that is the issue. That is this Five of Swords. And it is, I think that is like what it's keeping us from a lot of what potential we have. Okay. I'm looking in order of what I pulled. And this Six of Rings. All right, we had Six of Rings reverse. They're using reverse versus um inverted, but you'll hear me say it both ways. So they say bribery, unfair dealings, injustice, miserliness threaten prosperity. So we're holding our coins, our rings, our riches, our abundance to ourselves. We're not sharing. But again, I think that I find that I overshare. So this doesn't resonate with me in terms of that. Like I think it's more like we're keeping our gifts, our our potential, our gifts, what we can give to the world. That the whole idea of we can't change the world because the problem is too big. Instead of saying that we can make things better and just maybe not fix everything. I think that is where we're at. I don't think it's like this miserliness where, that we're not willing to give that dollar away to somebody that needs it. I think it's that we're not willing to change the problem because we think it's too big, whether that problem is worldwide or within ourselves. I think it's asking us to go for it and to go forward and face the fear that's behind it. Because that is usually what it is. It's fear. Like what is somebody going to think of me? Are my friends going to leave me because of it? I've done some things. I have some poems coming out, at least one that I know a lot of poets, especially that I know, will will have backlash, so we say. Um, it's about Gaza. I'll leave it at that. But I know there will be backlash, and you still have to be brave and you still have to do what you have to do and stay true to yourself. It's very difficult. All right. The next we had was a Queen of Cups. And that is why I say, yes, we're sort of on that right track. Okay. Once we get past that scariness, right? We've got the Queen of Cups, kind, shy, sensitive, romantic, self indulgent. She's a beautiful and gentle creature given to romantic flight's fancy. She has the soul of an artist with a great love of peace and harmony. The queen shapes her world to correspond with the way she feels it should be. Say. Therefore, much of what she chooses to see is based on illusion. Now, I do not agree with that. Okay? I figure most of my life I'm between probably the priestess and the Queen of Cups. I'm like a dreamer. But I'm also a manifester. And I don't believe that the Queen of Cups is all illusion in terms of, oh, she's just lost her mind and she doesn't really know what's going on. And I think illusion is a little bit different. Um, I think that the illusion they're talking about is not what I talk about. I'm not talking about that there's like this fantasy. I, like I said, I feel this for myself. Definitely have the illusion of I know what things could be. I see what things could be, and then I make it so. I see a world, and it's not through rose-colored glasses. I see that it's awful. But I also see all the possibility in how we can come together and all of that jazz, you know? I see it as it could be. I see my friends and, if they're sad or if they're whatever, I see how they could be happy. And then I try to help them get to wherever they need to go, you know? Um, it's just it's just like a different mindset. You sort of look at the world and you instead of seeing what can't be done, what is out of our control, we go forward and we go, I can do this small step. It's up to me. I am the only person that can do this, and I'm going to do it. That's all you can do. I mean, that's within our boundaries, our limits, of course. And this has to be like you have to own it and feel it and know that there will be consequences. There are always be backlashes. Um, in in West Virginia, I don't know how long I will be welcome into the university to review. I call myself uh, enemy poet number one. My poem went around the world about mountaineers being able to be, both being able to fire a musket and be a poet. And it helped save the MFA. And I hope that it winds up helping save the rest of the English department. But there's going to be backlash. The president isn't going to be like, hey, this alumni needs to come read her work for us, right? And yet you have to do what has to be done. I had to wear red and go protest. First protest that they had. And you just have to be able to accept the consequences, but also know that you have to follow your heart and do what you feel you have to do. It's not easy, but it's also not that illusion. Not that illusion in that same sense. It's the clarity of being able to see what could be. Looking out, seeing smog, and knowing, I'm running in my car right now. Perhaps I could not be, you know? It's that sort of thing. Small differences. Okay? And like I said, that illusion, I don't believe. It says like a life of luxury and forgoes the use of common sense with financial matters. Now that is me. But again, kind of slant. I have a very much different view of money than other people, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. I believe that money is meant to go. It is meant to come and it's meant to go. And it's meant to go where it needs to go. And maybe that's not me. I don't know. I have to survive. And yet I'm not willing to just not live. It is a different mindset. And maybe it's foolish. And maybe it's all of this. But I believe it's foolish as the card zero is. The fool going on the journey. Yes, there is always that. If like, oh, you shouldn't spend that money because you have to, spend it on the mortgage. Okay, yes, okay, I get that, okay. But also, if you're given an opportunity to go someplace and your friend is like, hey, all you have to do is buy lunch, I'll get the gas and everything, then maybe it's worth it. And you do have to make these decisions, but don't give up opportunities. Opportunities, they say only come once. And I don't know if that's true, but I take every opportunity that I can, regardless of how much it costs. And yes, it might be foolish, but it's like with a capital F, foolish. The fool going out on the journey. I learn. Okay. So I don't like what they're saying about the Queen of Cups, obviously. Um, sorry, it's like falling. It's like good days. So I don't I don't believe it. So there you have it. I don't believe it. Um, you will see that I disagree with cards a lot at times if I feel like mm, if I get an intuitive meaning instead of like what they're saying, I go for intuitive, just so everyone knows. All right, this is the Seven of Swords. Okay. Perseverance, light of hope. The worst is behind you. Flight from dishonorable actions, theft, betrayal, journey by land. Okay, so like that's like all of the things, right? And it's not even, I don't know, that's like, I don't know. That's upright. Like if it was, oh, excuse me. I have the Seven of Swords and it's the Seven of Wands. Haha, I should have known that. Lo siento. Well, that changes everything, doesn't it? It does. It's based on Rumpelstiltskin. And it does change everything. I actually read this, but I didn't put the card there. Apologies. Um, but like then take that Seven of Swords that I was talking about, and definitely like if the message is for you, then it was meant to come through. Um, this is the Seven of Wands, being taken advantage of, feeling overwhelmed, embarrassment. I have that. I don't know if you guys are going through that. Um, I I am. A lot of my childhood wounds, my inner child wounds have been triggered. A lot of my trauma wounds have been triggered over the last few weeks. And like I feel bad when I react, when I'm triggered, but so hard not to react. So we have to heal and somehow. And I worked on the therapy some, I've talked to friends some, and like things will work out. We have to like sort of, figure it out. All right. So Rumpelstiltskin held up his end of the deal with the miller's daughter by spending 3 rooms full of gold for the girl, who was then married to the king. After the birth of her first child, Rumpelstiltskin returned to collect the baby as payment for his services, just as the miller's daughter had originally agreed. Needless to say, she had changed her mind and refused to give up the child to the gnome. Rumpelstiltskin gave her the chance to keep the baby if she could guess his name. The queen, of course, managed to learn his name. In a fit of pique, Rumpelstiltskin stomped through the floor and was never seen again. A reversal of the Seven of Wands warns against letting others take advantage of you. You may feel overwhelmed. You're responsible for a situation into which you've been thrust. Someone may try to coax you into doing something through pleading or threats, but you need to hold your ground. Embarrassment may occur, causing you to lash out at others to compensate for feelings of vulnerability. Composure and patience are needed at this time in order to see a project through bit by bit. Do not let others force you into rushing or into any situation that you really feel you do not feel equipped to handle at the moment. So hold your boundaries. So like I said, go forth and do the small things that you need to do. Don't let people take advantage of you. And please don't let them tell you that you can't do something. And I don't mean like illegal something, but I'm like, don't tell yourself you can't do something. Like I could, for years, I said I couldn't do archaeology. And I had a huge phobia of snakes that I could barely get out the door. And I was caring for my grandmother, and I could go down this whole list of things and reasons and why I couldn't and all this sort of things. And I'm like, yeah, those are true, but I let them get in the way. They're not quite excuses. They are things that happened, but still, they sort of like leave an ashy taste when I say, oh, this is why. And even now, I'm like, I'm not a real archaeologist. I want to be real. How do I become real? I'm a real writer. How do I become real? Was the MFA, would a master's in archaeology do that for me? I don't know. I'm working through it. I keep going, I want to be real. And that's like the word that I keep using, capital R, real. And I know I want a title, something about me. I don't know if it's my age or what, but I want something, a recognition of this is who I am. I'm not just, Kim Malinowski, disabled poet. Um, so there's something there. I just don't know what. And I don't know if you're feeling that too. So think about it, okay? It will resonate for you or it won't. This is the Hermit. This is our final card of this deck. Wisdom, solitude, open-mindedness, desire to learn, seeking the truth, looking within. Now, that's sort of where I'm at, right? Are you there? where you want to learn and you want to do all this stuff, and maybe things get in the way, and it's like you have to just, I keep saying go forward. That seems to be like the message that is pulling me, like, to say, okay? So it's not just me, but I just feel it has to be repeated. Go forward. A solitary fairy kneels before the cave in which resides, holding the light of truth in her hand. She is prepared to share this truth with those who are wise enough to behold it. And now the symbol of wisdom sits beside her. The solitude of the cave allows a quiet and peace of mind necessary to explore the depth of one's soul, while the darkness serves to enhance the beautiful illumination brought by wisdom. The hermit may live alone, but with the knowledge and growth of truth surrounding her, she is never lonely. And that is something that I suffer with and that I'm trying to combat is loneliness. A lot of people have this aloneness. And you can sit alone and be happy. But if you feel empty or you feel disconnected, it's not always the same feeling and it's not always nice. That is just the way of it. And I think that we have to find ways of finding not just friends, but just fulfilling ourselves. And if we have a mission, then who knows? I'm going to go to the Kitchen Witch Oracle. We have three. And they were also up in the air, sort of like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth of like, so we started with binding. Let me get to it. It's at the very, very end. Tea tree. Okay. This is tea tree. And I'm not going to read the little spells that they have with these. I don't agree with them. Okay. I just don't. So if you have this deck and you like it, good, use it, but not kidding. I've read them to myself, all of them, and I don't feel that they hold truth. Tea tree's guidance. A restriction is holding you back from making a commitment, although a decision should not be made lightly. Investigate thoroughly before you consent, as there are underlying and hidden factors to consider. An obligation that's irrevocable may be a bit of a bind, so that's why not to use a styptic strength. Oh my gosh. I can't say it. It's STYPTIC strength to break away from any ties that are challenging you on all levels. Choose me to banish the negative vibes of those who vex you. For my natural estrogen powers works as an excellent repellent. Don't let others get under your skin. Instead, turn to me to soothe and clear up any skin problems, grazes, and infections. Allow me to assist in restraining another's influence over you, or keep away those who would cause harm and to themselves and others that we work with little binding magic together. Promises are kept as you unite with another to optimum magical results. So I think that's sort of like if you get together, you can, into together either with one or group, you can sort of break away from whatever's holding you back. And also maybe like with this optimum magical results, also, maximize your potential and go forth and do your stuff, right? The go forth. Now they have this recommended recipe. Please do not. I'm not a doctor. I do not stand. I have problems with tea tree oil. So deodorant for underarms, insect repellent. Melt 3 tablespoons of olive oil and shea butter in a double boiler and remove from heat. Add 1/4 cup of baking soda and cornstarch and 25 to 30 drops of tea tree oil. Pour mixture into a small jar, silicone molds, or an old deodorant stick. Ensure the mixture is set before using it. I have no idea if it's a 4th cup of every ingredient. It doesn't say. Sorry, man. There you have it. Our next was nettle caution. Okay, so like I said, I actually pulled these cards first. I was like, I don't know. This is kind of an interesting reading. And that nettle is why I really am not reading the spells. But danger. I advise you not to dive into any situation head first. This is one time not to take someone at face value, as there are underlying issues that have yet to rise to the surface. You'd be wise to be watchful and trust no one at this time. Do not buy into fear or chaos that stirs you up around. The stinging hairs on my heart-shaped leaves are like shards of glass and will cause a painful reaction to those who cross your boundaries uninvited. My reputation alone is enough to drive out negativity, so carefully pop my leaves into a bag for protection, or use them in powdered form to create any curses made to break any curses made against you. Packed with nutrition, I am known as delicacy, but prepare your nettle sour dishes with extreme caution, because I'm known to bite. All right, well, I'm going to do the recommended recipe. Soup for gout, excessive acid, purifying blood. Heat 1 tablespoon of olive oil in a large saucepan over medium heat. Add vegetables of your choice, such as carrots, celery, leeks, onions, and potatoes. Cook for 10 minutes. Add the vegetable stock and cook for another 15 minutes until vegetables are soft. Add 300 grams of young nettle leaves and a few wild garlic leaves. Simmer for 2 minutes. Blend the mixture, return to medium heat, and add milk, butter, and seasoning to taste. All right. So, yeah. Perhaps as the fool with a capital F, we have to have some caution. Maybe that's why we are in this indecisive mode. But our final card is sugar. And I admit that the spell, I admit to eating disorders. My book is about eating disorders in some ways. So I understand. So please understand that, 'cause, like, the sugar, like, totally threw me, when I read the okay, I'll just read it in case it's for someone. Desserts and candies are a weakness, okay? That is the first line of the spell, and the rest of it is really positive, but that first line, I was like, "No. No, I can't take that. I have to not take that one." And that's what I say to you guys. If there is a card or a spell or something that is not for you, just say, I don't take that. Okay. Sugar's guidance. Harness all your desires by adding some sweetness to your life. My sweet crystal power is irreplaceable when it comes to working with sugar magic in ritual and attraction spells. When you utilize my sugary charms and candy spells, I will magnetize all that you wish to allure, such as a lover, friendship, money, and beauty. Sprinkle me into nature to summon the elements, or burn a sugar cube to communicate with the spirits you wish to invoke. As I sweeten any culinary dish, I delight your tongue and entice your taste buds. When your mood turns sour, burn me to sweeten you up, or perform some sweetening magic on another whose words have a bitter edge. As you sugarcoat a situation, you're supported by a sweet smell of magic, which really we will be the icing on the cake. Okay. I also all right, I was a huge absinthe fan, the liquor with wormwood. Um, and it was a ritual, and you'd pour it over a sugar cube and then light the sugar cube on fire. And I just keep seeing this image every time I read this. I read it several times now, before this. I'm just like, "Oh, yes." And I probably couldn't drink it now, but the idea of it is there in my head, and I can sort of go back to that time, kind of more innocent. All right, recommended recipe: scrub for face, body, feet, hands. Mix 1 cup of organic sugar, white or brown, with half cup of sunflower oil or another carrot oil, such as coconut. Add essential oils of your choice, such as lemon, lavender, or cumin. Mix together and store in a mason jar. If you want a heavier, coarser scrub, add in Himalayan salt. Sounds good. Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave you with sugar. And like I said, it does feel a little icky to me, but, like, I bring my own issues in, and that's why I'm always very open about, like, why I'm bringing my issues in. Like, it's not gonna be for you necessarily. You might be like, "I want that cake," and that's fine. Eat that damn cake. Okay? That's my advice to you. Have that sugar. Go forth, have some sugar, and just be like, "I'm going to live." And that's with a capital L. You know, no matter what's going on, find something beautiful. Do something that scares you. Make your pulse race. Enjoy life and live life to the fullest. Do small acts. They do matter. So it is.